My baby will be here soon.
One life to save an entire species.
She is from another tribe.
They called me Vodny Sver. It means sea monster.
They are here.
We will not help you fight.
I will put an end to these humans.
She has a baby. It's one of ours.
She's stronger than Rin.
This child is your people's hope.
Why is the pregnant woman lying in a bathtub full of ice? It turns out the baby in her womb isn't human, but a mermaid. After the ocean became heavily polluted, mermaids could no longer conceive in the harsh natural environment, causing their population to dwindle. Mermaids turned to human technology for artificial insemination. Dr. Eileen secretly implanted the embryo into Maddie's body. However, human body temperature is higher than that of mermaids, so she had to immerse herself in ice water to lower temperature. Otherwise, the baby wouldn't survive. Maddie returned to her room, suddenly struck by pain. Strangely, Rin felt the same pain in her abdomen. Eileen told her it was due to uterine contractions, and she could only take painkillers. Maddie's pain grew worse, and so did Rin's. It seemed there was some connection between them. Maddie thought Rin was injured while fighting Tyr. At the hospital, she saw Eileen picking up medication. Eileen seemed worried when she saw Rin. Maddie explained Rin's severe abdominal pain to Eileen. Facing the pure-blooded mermaid leader, Eileen had to examine her. Oddly, she wasn't pregnant. The pain was from uterine contractions. At this point, Eileen seemed to realize something. Rin explained the mermaid race's issues to her. Finally, Eileen revealed the truth. After Rin was captured by reporters, they implanted the embryo into a hybrid mermaid's body, and Rin's baby was healthy and about to be born. Eileen quickly left after revealing this. Rin, extremely anxious, drove after her. She followed her to Maddie's house. As she entered, she heard painful cries. Rin placed her hand on her belly, and the baby calmed down upon sensing its mother. Maddie told Ben everything. When he arrived, Maddie's water had broken, and she successfully gave birth. Rin was overjoyed, but soon noticed the baby's weak breathing and peeling skin. She knew the baby needed to return to the sea, but it was in human form. Could it transform into a mermaid? On a stormy night at sea, a fishing boat was hauling in its nets. As the fishermen pulled in the catch, they noticed a strange creature moving among the fish. When they approached to investigate, the creature suddenly attacked. Frightened, they grabbed spears to defend themselves. The creature knocked one man aside, the remaining to use weapons to chase it into the hold. Seeing an injured crew member, the captain called for help. A strange noise was heard as a man opened a hatch. A helicopter arrived, and armed soldiers descended onto the boat. After taking the injured crew member to the helicopter, the soldiers opened the hatch to see the creature inside. He wasn't surprised at all and ordered the soldiers to fire tranquilizers, then locked the creature up and took it along with the injured crew member. Nearby in the ocean, a strange fish surfaced. The next morning at the military base, Dr. Alden reported the situation to the general. A mermaid with an unusual face was confined in a large tank. At a bar, 3 crew members talked about what they had encountered, and Ben wanted to invite them to find the injured crew member. However, Ben, who worked at the Oceanographic Center, didn't believe their story. On his way back, a girl suddenly appeared in front of him. Luckily, he braked in time. The girl, naked with tangled hair, fled in fear. Strangely, she couldn't walk properly. Ben had to cover her with his coat and put her in his car. Noticing her labored breathing, he called a doctor to his home. When the girl woke up, everything around her seemed strange. She picked up a shell, sniffing it. Ben tried to talk to her, but she just stared at him, then finally spoke. Ben was mesmerized by her magical voice, but a knock on the door interrupted him. It was the doctor. When they entered, the girl was gone. She spent the night on an abandoned boat. Waking up, she was curious about her legs. A rat jumped down, and she caught it. After eating the rat, she looked around the streets, seemingly searching for something. She stopped in front of Helen's antique shop. Helen was astonished by the girl. Just then, Ben saw her as he passed by. When he crossed the street to find her, she had vanished. Ben asked Helen about the girl, but Helen refused to say anything. The strange girl went to the dock and found a fishing boat named North Star. She sat near the fishing nets, remembering she was the mermaid from the legend. While hunting with her sister Donna, Donna was captured by humans and disappeared. prompting her to come ashore to find her sister in an unfamiliar place. She followed her instincts. She noticed a toy helicopter by the road. That night, it was this toy that took her sister away. She learned from the TV and named herself Ren. She approached a man fixing his car, showing him the toy helicopter, asking for help finding her sister. Rin got in the car, and the man drove her into the woods. When he tried to make a move on her, she threw him aside, killing him instantly. Rin removed her blood-stained coat. Dehydrated, her skin began peeling. She noticed a drawing on a house that matched the one on her shirt. She went there and devoured all the mashed fish inside. After eating, she stepped outside, startling a seagull into loud cries, as if it had encountered a predator. When Ben returned to work, he saw Rin. She quickly hid and watched him with a hostile gaze. He explained he wasn't a threat, and Rin calmed down. Ben told her that from the first time he met her and heard her sing, he was mesmerized. Her voice always lingered in his mind. As he watched Rin grow weaker, he checked her arm and then went to find the doctor. But Rin waited and waited, and he never came back. Her skin started peeling off in patches. She weakly looked out at the sea, trying to escape, and then she dove into the water. In the cold ocean water, Rin painfully reverted to her true form. Her hands turned into claws, fins grew along her spine, and her legs transformed into a tail. In an instant, Rin became a mermaid. Through the surveillance camera, Ben saw her fall into the sea and immediately jumped in to find her. But Rin suddenly turned ferocious and attacked him. Before he could understand what was happening, she had already struck him. Ben struggled to swim to shore, but Rin caught him and dragged him underwater. In a desperate moment, he grabbed a metal rod to fend her off and climbed ashore. As Rin returned to the sea, Ben, panicking, rushed to Helen's antique shop. He told her what had just happened. When Ben was young, Helen often told him stories about mermaids, so he believed she knew everything. Helen revealed that his family history was more complicated than he thought. It turned out that hundreds of years ago, Ben's ancestors had discovered mermaids in the ocean. At that time, mermaids were timid and gentle by nature, but his ancestors lost their minds and saw capturing mermaids as an honor. They repeatedly sailed out to slaughter the mermaids, driving them nearly to extinction. Over time, mermaids became vicious and aggressive. Ben couldn't believe what he was hearing. Back in his car, he read a book about mermaids. Looking at the image of a sailor killing a mermaid, he felt immense pity. The next day, Ben boarded the North Star because the crew had reported being attacked by mermaids, prompting the captain to decide to go out to sea to find them. After all that had happened, he believed mermaids truly existed. Now, he was worried that Rin was in danger, so he followed. Rin walked naked along the street, attracting everyone's attention. She saw some clothes, took them, and put them on. The woman who owned the clothes noticed and yelled at her. Rin grabbed a metal rod and thrust it through the pole next to the woman, who backed away in fear. After leaving, Rin went to Helen's antique shop. This time, Helen was prepared. She asked Rin questions, but Rin couldn't speak human language. Instead, she took a doll and broke it in half, indicating that she wanted Helen's help in finding her sister. Helen understood her intention and gave her clothes, letting her stay at her place. Rin was hungry but couldn't eat human food. Helen knew what she needed and went out to buy food for her. Meanwhile, a fishing boat anchored in a cove. The radar showed something approaching. The captain stood on the boat with a harpoon gun, and the surface of the water started to bubble. The captain aimed his gun. Ben Lowren was in danger, so he rushed to stop the captain. When the captain got angry with Ben, a strange sound came from under the water. Ben thought Rin was injured, so he took off his shirt and jumped into the sea. But Rin was not there. At this moment, he noticed something glowing near the propeller. He pulled it out with effort. Xander said the sound was similar to that of mermaids, like a tracking device, indicating it was related to the military. They decided they needed to use this device to investigate further. Ben went home to tell Maddie about it. After watching the camera footage, she was shocked. Ben told Maddie that Helen knew a lot about mermaids. He wanted to ask her to find out what the sound from the device was. At the store, Ben explained the situation to Helen. He then turned on the device, and the sound immediately reached Rin. It was the cry of her sister during an experiment. Rin, furious, overturned the table. She appeared before them, turned on the device, and called her sister's name. Ben turned the device off. Rin, still angry, held up the device, spilling water on herself. Her arm began to grow scales. Fortunately, there wasn't much seawater, so she gradually returned to normal and calmed down. Ben understood her purpose for coming ashore. He promised to help her find her sister. Rin then left with the device. At a secret base, Rin's sister, Donna, was locked in a water tank, revealing her true mermaid form. After the military captured Donna and confined her to a lab, researchers extracted her DNA and injected it into a paralyzed guinea pig. The next day, the guinea pig miraculously recovered. Dr. Adam was astonished by the DNA's powerful effects. In the hospital, crew member Chris lay injured in bed. He had been attacked by a mermaid that night. The military had brought him and the mermaid to the secret base. Chris seized the opportunity to take the nurse's phone and send a distress message to Xander. Xander called back, but the line was cut off. He traced the phone number to find its owner and immediately drove there. Rin was being examined by Ben, who discovered her intelligence was far superior to that of a normal human. Despite her slender frame, she weighed 196 tons. Her heart rate was 5 times faster than usual, and her reflexes were significantly sharper. When Xander arrived, he saw the nurse leaving and quietly followed her. It wasn't until nightfall that the nurse reached her destination. Seeing her enter a base guarded by soldiers, they followed to see what was happening. Suddenly, 2 armed soldiers approached, causing them to flee in fear. Inside the base, Adam received a call from the military stating they had identified information from the device and traced it to Ben. The next day, Ben received a call from Xander, who was near the nurse's house. Ben told Rin that her sister and Chris were likely being held in the same place. Rin was anxious and wanted to find her sister immediately, but her skin began to peel because she hadn't been in contact with water for several days. Under Ben's persuasion, Rin reluctantly agreed to stay. However, leaving her alone would be dangerous, so they sent her to Helen's house. Ben asked Helen how long Rin could last. Helen said that each time a mermaid comes ashore, the transformation lasts longer. Hearing this, Ben felt reassured and left. Helen applied a special ointment to Rin's skin, saying it would help her stay on land longer. Rin noticed something and slowly lifted Helen's pant leg. Staring in shock, Chris heard a terrible scream, quickly disconnected his the fourth and ran out. In the hallway, he saw a blood-covered girl who looked terrified. Chris thought she had also been captured, so he helped her escape. He found a key, located a car, and they fled the base. The next day, Ben saw a car waiting outside the nurse's house. Maddie suggested they go inside to look for clues. Once inside, Maddie saw a photo of the nurse in a military uniform. Ben confirmed that the military was conducting experiments at a secret base. Just then, a car pulled up outside, and they quickly hid. They snuck inside to search for something. Ben guessed something had happened to the nurse, and she wouldn't return, so they needed to go back to the base to find out what had happened. Back at the base, Alden discovered a strange mermaid tail. When he picked it up, it disintegrated into dust. Sensing something was wrong, he entered the lab and found scattered corpses. He checked the surveillance cameras to see what had happened. The footage showed a mermaid attacking the staff with her tail. The dark lab echoed with screams. No soldiers survived, and the mermaid had vanished. Eventually, they realized the mermaid had transformed into human form and was wandering aimlessly. She encountered the nurse and killed her, took her clothes, and then met Chris to escape. Ben and his group were unaware that the mermaid had escaped the lab, so they secretly exited the base. They saw soldiers loading a body bag into a car. Just then, Ben received a call, learning that Rin was getting weaker. He asked Xander to find Chris while he took Rin back to the sea. As Rin prepared to return to the ocean, Maddie gave her a necklace. Ben handed her a tracking device, explaining that it would help him locate her if she was in danger. Rin trusted him and let him put the necklace on her. Just then, Ben's phone rang. Xander had found Chris. Xander had been following a military vehicle when he got a call from Chris. He quickly gave his current location. They immediately turned around and headed there. Upon hearing the news, Rin was determined to find Donna. Eventually, the sisters reunited, holding hands and expressing their longing for each other. Donna carried Rin into the sea, and they both dived down together. When Maddie and Ben arrived, they saw the sisters returning to their world and felt a bit wistful. A month later, Ben discovered the corpse of a lanternfish near the shore. Lanternfish typically live at depths greater than 600 meters, so its appearance near the shore was unusual. Maddie dissected the fish and found its digestive system lacked tissues, and its oxygen levels were unstable, indicating it had died for this reason. Ben sensed something strange. At that moment, the GPS device suddenly went off, revealing that Rin was approaching the shore. Suspecting something had happened to her, they headed to the beach. Maddie found a mermaid tail, As soon as she touched it, it turned to dust. Ben found another mermaid tail nearby. The device showed that Rin had entered the forest. Maddie stayed behind to collect the tail, while Ben followed the device to find Rin. By nightfall, Rin was running through the forest, with Donna following behind. They reached a sports field where Rin put on clothes. Having been mistreated by humans, Donna was reluctant to interact with them. She angrily threw away the necklace around Rin's neck. Rin told her sister that only humans could help them now, learning from the previous encounter. The military designed a new tank for Rin, with stronger walls that would calm the creature inside with a mere touch. They also requested local authorities to allow fishermen to fish indefinitely, hoping to force the mermaids to surface and ultimately confine them in inhumane tanks. Ben, following the tracker, couldn't find Rin. When they returned to the research center, they were surprised to find Rin there, introducing her sister to them. Helen also arrived and asked Rin why she had come ashore. Rin explained that overfishing had depleted the food in their habitat, forcing them to come ashore in search of food. Donna saw the lanternfish on the table and, believing Ben was stealing their food, became aggressive and choked him. Rin quickly intervened, and the sisters started fighting. Ben quickly lit a flare, scaring Donna away. Hungry, Donna snuck into a food storage area, but a staff member spotted her. She turned angrily, causing the staff to flee. She grabbed the staff member by the collar, and they both fell to the ground. The staff member hit the alarm, and Donna fled in fear. Rin recounted that after Donna was brutally tortured by humans, they took her blood daily for experiments and extracted cells from her body, causing her to despise humans. To prevent her from harming innocent people, Helen decided to search for her personally. The next day, to prevent Donna from causing any harm, Helen set out to find her on her own. The next day, Helen found Donna on the beach. She took her home and promised to help her. At the party, Ben's mom introduced him to an oceanographer who worked for the military, the same Dr. Senna had mentioned. The doctor assumed Ben knew nothing about the military, but Ben deliberately revealed everything to him. The doctor was stunned and then demanded Ben disclose the mermaid's location. Ben agreed, on the condition that the military stop all actions against the mermaids. To meet the mermaid, Eden explained the entire plan to Ben. He said that tonight an armed boat would set out to catch the mermaids. They would use bait to lure the mermaids and then capture them using force. Ben saw the situation as extremely serious. Soon after, Eden heard the mermaid song. Following the song, he found Donna under an old tree. Her family had intentionally lured Eden there. He approached to apologize, saying everything that happened wasn't his intention. At that moment, Rin appeared from behind, grabbed Eden by the neck, and threw him to the ground, choking him. As Eden was about to pass out, Ben told him only he could stop everything. But when Eden called, the military had already acted. Donna angrily threw Eden into a tree and then left with her sister. Donna returned to the sea, changing back into her mermaid form. Xander witnessed this and immediately called Ben to see. Rin was also there and was about to jump into the sea after her sister when the police arrived. Rin was taken to the police station. The police questioned Rin about Eden's death in the forest. Unable to lie, she told them everything. When the police asked who had helped her, Rin misunderstood and named Ben and Maddie. The police, stunned, called Maddie to the station. Maddie realized the truth could no longer be hidden and told them everything. She poured water on Rin's hand, which transformed, stunning the police. Meanwhile, Xander's boat reached a location where they had previously discovered a drifting ship. They boarded the ship with guns but found no one on board, just guns and bloodstains on the floor. Suddenly, a sharp spear was thrown from the sea, and a strange creature jumped onto the boat. It was the mermaid Levi, with angry eyes, ready to attack Ben. Just in time, Chris shot Levi, causing him to fall into the water. Suddenly, a strange sound echoed. Donna stared at Chris, hypnotizing him into throwing away his weapon and walking towards her. At that moment, Chris's teammate fired a flare, allowing Ben to rescue him. Donna, holding a long spear, charged at them. Fortunately, Ben quickly maneuvered the mast, knocking Donna into the sea. Then, Xander and Ben went below deck to find Levi, but only found a discarded mermaid tail. Hearing his father scream, Xander rushed to him. He jumped onto the boat and aimed his gun at the mermaid. The mermaid quickly jumped into the sea. Xander's father died shortly after. Xander, angry, believed the mermaid was responsible for his father's death. Ben explained that Xander's father had died after getting caught in a fishing net. The next day, Maddie told Rin about what happened the previous night. Feeling very guilty, She went to Xander and blamed herself for his father's death. At this moment, Xander noticed something. He realized Rin was not as simple as she seemed. Xander wanted to chase after them for answers, but Ben stopped him and told him the truth. Xander was furious. He hated the mermaids and went home to get weapons, planning to take revenge on Rin. At the boat dock, a dog barked incessantly near the water. Its owner also looked down but didn't notice anything unusual. As soon as they left, 3 shadows appeared underwater. Shortly after, 3 mermaids transformed into human form on the beach. They stole clothes from the locals. The woman in the middle was the leader of the mermaid tribe, Katrina. This time, she came ashore to find Rin. Donna led Katrina to an antique shop. Helen sensed something was wrong and became worried. Donna wanted to know where Rin was, but Helen refused to answer. Levi pinned her against the wall. Katrina, unwilling to touch humans, had to leave. Helen, terrified, called Ben. Rin heard about this and decided to meet Katrina. When Rin returned to the research center, Katrina was there waiting for her. Rin respectfully bowed to her leader, but Katrina wanted to kill her. Donna knew Katrina had come ashore not to bring Rin back, but to kill her. Donna stood in front of Rin, and the tension was palpable. Ben cleverly poured seawater on them, causing them immense pain. He then took the opportunity to help Rin escape. Once in a safe place, Ben realized something more complicated was going on. Why did Katrina want to kill Rin? Rin told him about an ancient legend among the mermaids. Hundreds of years ago, a mermaid fell in love with a man and bore a child. But the child's appearance was not normal. The mermaid tribe took the child from the man and killed it. Later, the mermaids returned to the sea, and the man, grieving for his lost child, became vengeful. He led humans to retaliate against the mermaids, resulting in a massacre that nearly wiped out the mermaid race. They feared this tragedy might happen again with Rin. That night, Officer Dale was patrolling the streets when Katrina suddenly appeared in front of him. Sensing something wrong, Dale immediately called for backup. At that moment, a fierce-looking Levi jumped onto his car, and Katrina shattered the car's window. Dale fired his gun in self-defense, then drove into Levi, knocking him to the ground. Maddie told Ben where Katrina was. Hearing this, Xander drove there. As Dale was leaving, Levi suddenly woke up and had a metal barrier, causing Dale's car to lose control and crash into a wall. When Dale regained consciousness, Levi had vanished. Rin was walking down the street when she heard a strange sound. Katrina heard it too and showed up immediately. But when Katrina realized someone was watching her, she used Rin as a shield and ran off. Ben and the others chased after her. Katrina threw Rin into a warehouse and attacked her. When Ben arrived, a fight broke out. Xander also showed up. Just as he was about to fire his gun, Levi attacked him from behind. Seeing this, Rin threw an anchor in that direction. Xander immediately fired his gun. Frightened by the gunshot, Katrina ran off. She barged into an antique shop, and they grabbed weapons to fight back. Meanwhile, Ben and his group were searching everywhere. Suddenly, Katrina threw a spear at them, but luckily they dodged it. Rin chased after Katrina. Katrina hid in a corner, then suddenly jumped out to attack Rin. Rin was knocked to the ground but fought back angrily, trying to push Katrina down. Eventually, Rin defeated Katrina, and she surrendered. Ben was walking down the street when he ran into Levi. Ben tried to shoot, but was out of bullets. Levi charged at Ben, pushing him into the street. As Levi was about to kill Ben, Rin arrived. Levi knelt before Rin, begging for forgiveness. Since Rin had defeated the leader Katrina, she was now the new leader. At this moment, Xander approached with a gun. To stop him, Ben lunged at Xander, but the bullet hit Donna. She died in Rin's arms. The next day, they took Donna's body to a mysterious rock. It turned out that the strange-looking child from the legend didn't die, but was adopted by a local doctor. That child was Helen's ancestor. Everyone buried there were descendants of mermaids. Rin buried her sister there. At a bar, crew member Calvin drank to drown his sorrows. His girlfriend had dumped him because he couldn't make money. He stopped to look at a mermaid statue, and then made a phone call. In the antique shop, Rin was learning how to use money when she suddenly felt something unusual from the sea. Something seemed to be happening at the bottom of the sea, and she felt it was very strange. She needed to go back to investigate. At the dock, Rin felt the sea shaking again. She went there immediately. At the research center, Maddie discovered 2 sea seals and was alarmed. Fish were swimming towards them, and the seals jumped ashore, seemingly scared of something in the water. Just as Ben came ashore, he received an emergency call. Someone had found a whale carcass on the shore. Ben rushed there. Everyone was talking about Maddie, and the autopsy results showed that Xander had died from a brain injury. But strangely, he had no illnesses or serious injuries. Maddie became anxious and uneasy. Then, they heard about the whale carcass and rushed to see what was going on. Maddie and Dale were also there. Many whale carcasses were scattered on the shore. Ben was shocked by the number of dead whales. Rin believed there was definitely a problem in the sea. She had to go back and find out the cause. The next day, Maddie placed a tracking device on Rin. After that, Rin jumped into the sea. She discovered the corpses of her kind, then was attacked by sonic waves. Rin wanted to escape, but stronger sonic waves appeared ahead. She was caught in a whirlpool. Ben noticed something unusual and, looking through binoculars, saw an oil tanker stopped ahead. At that moment, Rin swam past them, the device showing she was quickly heading towards the shore. Ben immediately returned to the shore, rushed into the forest, and finally found her. Rin was extremely weak and recounted what she had experienced. Ben speculated that the oil tanker was the cause. They planned to use sonic wave disruptors to explore the seafloor and locate the oil extraction site. Everything that happened was linked to the oil company. At that moment, Rin detected movement ahead. It was Levi, but he was near death. Ben quickly checked Levi's condition. Levi seemed to be struggling to breathe. Ben injected a needle into his chest and drained some fluid, bringing Levi back to life. Levi explained that the sonic waves forced him to come ashore and that others had also come ashore. At a bar, a beautiful girl caught Xander's attention. She introduced herself as Nicole, a tourist. While talking, she noticed Xander had a boat and mentioned she had never been on a fishing boat. The next day, Nicole visited Xander's boat, and he invited her aboard, sharing stories of his journeys. That evening, Xander sent a message to Nicole. She then made a call, revealing that she was not a tourist, but a lieutenant. She was purposely getting close to Xander to gather information on the mermaids. The military hadn't abandoned their plans to capture the mermaids. After the mermaids came ashore to catch fish for food, a wolf appeared behind them, staring at the mermaids. Rin, too weak to escape, suddenly heard a gunshot as Maddie arrived. The wolf fled, but the mermaid was badly injured, so they took her home for treatment. Meanwhile, Katrina led other mermaids to find Helen. When Ben arrived, Helen had given them clothes. Meeting the new leader, they bowed in respect. To avoid detection by humans, Ben took them to a remote house for temporary shelter, but Katrina had taken them out on her own, causing a mermaid to get injured. Seeing this, Rin blamed herself, and they had to return to the sea for treatment. Ben knew that the sonic disruptors could have an effect within an 800 kilometers radius. Helen suggested they live in more distant waters. Rin mentioned that there were other mermaid tribes deep in the sea. They were extremely conservative and would attack anyone who intruded. Seeing the mermaids growing weaker, Ben remembered a small beach in town where the sonic waves wouldn't reach. They could go there to recover their health. He took them to the shore, and the mermaids immediately began to recuperate. Just then, a group of people ran down to the beach, and the mermaids instinctively attacked. One mermaid pulled a human into the sea, causing the group to flee in terror. Soon after, the police sealed off the area, but they covered for the mermaids, keeping their secrets safe. Xander arrived at the scene, and Ben explained the situation to him. Xander, who hated the mermaids, accused Ben of being complicit with them. They started fighting until Dale intervened. Xander stormed off angrily. Once the crowd dispersed, the mermaids came ashore again, and Ben drove them to a gas station. Katrina took the mermaids into a supermarket, causing chaos. A staff member tried to stop them and got attacked. Luckily, Rin arrived in time, but Katrina was still not convinced. She wasn't ready to let Rin take her place as the leader. But the other mermaid sided with Rin. Katrina left in a huff. At the bar, Xander told Calvin about the mermaids coming ashore, and Calvin began plotting to capture them for money. Katrina wandered into the forest and suddenly heard a wolf's howl. The next day, everyone was stunned as they watched Katrina, covered in blood, carrying a wolf on her shoulder. She threw it down in front of Rin, proving her prowess to the mermaid tribe. Ben served plates of fresh meat and fish for them to eat voraciously. Maddie noticed Rin's skin starting to flake and knew she needed to return to seawater to recover. If Katrina found out, she would surely challenge Rin. To help Rin, Maddie returned to the research center and found a huge tank in storage. She brought the mermaids there and filled the tank with seawater, so they could use it when they needed to recover. Katrina quickly realized Rin was weak and saw her chance. Ben set up a water pump to fill the tank. At that moment, Rin disappeared. Katrina sneaked outside, found Rin, and taunted her. Rin fled into the warehouse, with Katrina in pursuit. They fought fiercely, ending up in the pool, underwater. Their battle intensified. Ben watched Rin, holding a paddle, ready to help, but Rin pushed him away. Mermaids' fights do not allow for interference. Ben's actions broke their rules. Finally, Rin struck Katrina with her tail, knocking her out. After the fight, Rin angrily reprimanded Ben for breaking their rules. At midnight, the injured Katrina slowly woke up and sneaked away while everyone slept. Meanwhile, Xander, sleeping fitfully, suddenly woke up. He was still troubled by his father's death. Nicole, lying beside him, noticed his distress and realized her plan was working. Xander couldn't sleep, so he went for a walk. Suddenly, he heard a strange sound nearby. He turned on his flashlight and discovered bloodstains on the ground. Following the trail, he found Katrina, hating mermaids intensely. He locked her in the ship's hold. On deck, hearing no more sounds from below, he opened the hatch and found Katrina unconscious. Grabbing a weapon, he cautiously entered the hold to check. Katrina had been pretending to be unconscious and suddenly woke up. She quickly grabbed Xander's weapon and almost killed him. She used an arrow to pry open the iron door and ran up to the deck, only to realize the ship had sailed far out to sea. Although a mermaid, she didn't dare jump into the ocean, and Xander knew this well. The sea held something that terrified mermaids. Smiling at Katrina, Xander wasn't afraid she'd kill him. If he didn't move the ship, Katrina would be trapped until she died. Realizing her predicament, Katrina slowly lowered her weapon. Xander led her to a lifeboat. He promised if she helped him find the mermaid who killed his father, he would help her return home. The next day, Xander told Ben about Katrina. He wanted to find a way to help the mermaid get home. Ben said they were facing a huge challenge. The exploration ship had discovered oil in the sea, and the company would soon send out ships to exploit it. If not stopped, all marine life would die. Nicole overheard their conversation and secretly sent a message to someone. Meanwhile, Katrina returned to the warehouse and saw only a male mermaid standing guard. She asked him where the others were. Following the address given, she found Camden. Exploiting Camden's hatred for humans, she persuaded him to join her. Then she led Camden to Levi's place. Katrina and Camden, armed with knives, forced Levi to come with them. After work, Xander returned to the ship and immediately texted his girlfriend. Confirming their date, he smiled happily. He was about to have a celebratory drink when he found himself surrounded by Katrina and Camden. Katrina punched him to the ground and locked him in the hold. Angry, Xander saw Levi sitting in a corner, badly injured by the two mermaids. Seeing his father's killer in front of him, Xander attacked Levi. Just as he was about to strangle Levi to death, he stopped. Reason overcame impulse. He didn't want a war between humans and mermaids. Levi told Xander that these were the orders of the former leader, Katrina. Male mermaids had very low status and couldn't disobey. Remembering the phone in his pocket, Xander quickly called Ben for help. Ben, receiving the call, immediately headed straight to the harbor. Ben saw Camden patrolling and managed to lure him away. Seizing the opportunity, he quickly broke into the ship's hold and freed Xander and Levi. They helped the injured Levi off the ship. Meanwhile, something remarkable was happening deep underwater. In a somber ceremony, a group of mermaids held a funeral. The body of a male mermaid lay in front of them. Rin approached slowly, placing a mysterious seashell on his chest before taking a necklace from around his neck and putting it on herself. She said a final goodbye to him as his body gradually disappeared, witnessed by all the mermaids present. A few days earlier, a fishing boat had unexpectedly dumped a body overboard. When the local forensics team examined the corpse, they found that the person had been killed by a weapon, not in an accident. DNA tests identified the deceased as Sean, who had gone missing at sea a month ago, severely injured beyond help. Sean's group feared they couldn't explain his death to the authorities once ashore. With no other choice, Xander carefully wrapped his father's body and cast it into the sea. The forensic report was handed to the local police, who immediately listed Ben's group as suspects, as they were witnesses in the case. Upon learning this, Xander's girlfriend, Nicole, sought out Rin and revealed everything to her. Nicole, a military member, had known Rin was a mermaid for a long time and wanted to talk. She told Rin that she could save Ben's group, but Rin would have to agree to let the military study her. The next day, the police chief suddenly informed everyone they were free to go. Ben didn't have time to dwell on it, as he had urgent matters to attend to. The oil company had located an underwater oil field and was preparing for large-scale extraction. Ben's group needed to stop their plans, or Rin and her entire clan would lose their home. Ben's plan involved disrupting the seismic waves from the drilling ship first. Then, Rin would lead her clan members to dive thousands of meters underwater to cut the drill shaft. Ben and Kevin would use a fishing boat to tow the drill shaft away, aiming to destabilize the ship's structure. Ben personally showed the mermaids how to use underwater cutting equipment, and Rin quickly mastered it. Meanwhile, Xander and Kevin inspected the fishing boat to ensure everything was ready and air-free. After the preparations were complete, everyone boarded the ship and set out to sea. A few hours later, they arrived next to the mineral exploration vessel. Ben and Maddie had to dive first to disable the sonar. Otherwise, the merpeople wouldn't be able to enter the water. Ben quickly cut the cable, rendering the device inoperative and causing it to sink to the ocean floor. On the boat, Rin checked and confirmed the sonar was off. She then led her tribe members into the sea. Rin swiftly reached the drill shaft and began cutting it. Meanwhile, 2 mermaids used ropes to secure the drill shaft. Before long, Rin severed the shaft, and the ropes quickly pulled it off its original course. The drill shaft spun so fast that the platform of the exploration vessel collapsed in no time. At this moment, the hook on the drill shaft was about to fall off. Levi quickly swam to block the iron hook, sacrificing himself. Rin and her tribe buried Levi. Then, she had to return to the surface to fulfill a promise. She surrendered herself to the military for research. Have you ever seen the transformation process of a mermaid? In a giant aquarium, a mermaid was brought to the surface, surrounded by military researchers. The mermaid screamed in pain as soon as she left the water. Not long before, Ben received a call from his brother saying that their mother had to be hospitalized. It turned out that a few years ago, Ben's mother had an accident and was paralyzed. Over time, ineffective treatments worsened her condition. The doctor said they currently had no better treatment options. Stepping out into the hallway, he saw Nicole there. Nicole directly told him why she had come. While studying a doctor's documents, Nicole discovered that mermaid stem cells could miraculously cure paralysis in mice. This groundbreaking finding overturned all previous scientific research. Nicole shared this with Ben. Seeing his mother struggling with pain, Ben sought Rin's help. Together, they went to the military research lab. First, they took Rin's blood and studied her transformation process. Ben felt very sad seeing Rin writhing in pain on the metal table. He then stormed into the lab, demanding to halt the experiment and take Rin away. But on the way back, Ben received a notification that his mother was in critical condition, with her illness worsening. The doctor advised him to prepare for the worst. Because of Ben, Rin secretly returned to the research lab alone. Rin asked Nicole to take her stem cells to treat Ben's mother first. Under anesthesia, Rin gradually fell asleep. Nicole informed Ben's group about this. Shortly after, Ben arrived and saw Rin weak on the table, looking apologetic. Then, a military doctor told Ben's group that Rin's stem cells were purer than those previously obtained and could freely transform into the tissue of the organism. Under Ben's arrangement, the doctor successfully implanted the stem cells into his mother's body. Before leaving, the doctor informed them that Ben's mother's health had stabilized. He specifically asked Rin if she felt any changes in her body. But at that moment, Rin was unaware of any differences. While shopping at the supermarket, Rin bumped into a woman and suddenly became frantic, attempting to attack her. Luckily, Ben's group restrained her. Late at night, as Ben was sleeping, Rin tried to strangle him. It became apparent to Ben that Rin had grown increasingly irritable since her stem cells were taken. To ensure everyone's safety, they confined Rin in a storage room and had her enter a water tank. However, Rin's emotions soon became uncontrollable. She quickly grew angry and agitated, smashed the glass door, and fled the warehouse. With no other options, Ben sought help from the military. Nicole used a military satellite to locate Rin. They quickly found Rin's trail in the forest. When Maddie turned around, she saw Rin staring at her with a haunting gaze. Seeing Rin out of control, Maddie shakily raised her gun. Rin looked directly into Maddie's eyes and began to sing the mermaid song. Under the song's influence, Maddie put down the gun and slowly walked towards Rin. Fortunately, Ben intervened just in time to stop the singing. Rin heard Ben's voice and gradually regained her senses. Meanwhile, deep under the sea, the mermaid Katrina was hunting. During the hunt, a strange sound echoed from within a dark cave. Katrina followed the sound, using her spear to push open the door. Inside, she found an elderly mermaid lying down, looking very peculiar. To investigate how the mermaid song affected the brain, Ben and Maddie underwent brain scans in the military research lab. The results showed varying degrees of brain damage. The song affected the prefrontal cortex, the area controlling emotions and rationality. It caused people to become aggressive and even experience hallucinations. To understand the song's impact, they recorded the mermaid song and played it for the lab mice. The mice suddenly became enraged and then rammed into the glass. The military was astonished by these findings and immediately ordered Nicole to investigate further. In a bar, Maddie recounted the entire incident to Xander. On her way home, feeling upset, she decided to turn on some music. Unexpectedly, the speakers played the mermaid song. She was about to turn off the speakers when she accidentally hit Rin. Maddie quickly got out of the car to see what happened, but there was nothing in front of the car. It was all a hallucination. Terrified and unsure of what to do, Maddie told Ben and Rin about the incident. To find a way to neutralize the song, Rin returned to the sea to seek answers. A few days later, Rin brought Elaine, a healer from her tribe, to help. Elaine sensed that the sounds in Ben and Maddie's heads were too powerful, deeply embedded in their brains like a phantom. She told Rin that only the source location within the tribe could completely erase these evil influences. But humans couldn't reach that place. At this moment, Ben came up with an idea. He approached the general and told him about the mermaid source location. The general, highly intrigued by this, provided them with an extremely valuable submarine on the condition that Ben hand over all the data to the military. Once they reached the ocean floor, Ben turned off all communication devices, unwilling to reveal the mermaid secrets to the military. At a depth of 20,000 meters, a mermaid floated in front of the submarine's bow. Rin approached the glass and recognized the mermaid. The mermaid swam away and called for others, who suddenly attacked the submarine, seemingly to protect the area. Ben quickly fired a cannon shot, scattering the mermaids. They continued navigating the submarine forward. Guided by Rin, they arrived at a large underwater cave. Suddenly, the submersible's equipment was disrupted, and the engine stopped working. At the same time, a door emitting a brilliant light appeared ahead. Rin recognized this door as the entrance to the source, and a magical force suddenly sucked the submarine inside. This was the mermaid's origin, a place filled with songs, where Rin's ancestors left ancient and mysterious chants. On the surface, Nicole wondered why they lost contact with Ben. Ben explained that the signal was lost due to the ocean's depth and handed over a USB with the mermaid song to the military. After another brain scan of Ben and Maddie showed no abnormalities, the military felt reassured. However, the mermaid race was now facing a potentially catastrophic issue. Elaine informed Rin that many of the mermaids were old, and there hadn't been a new birth in the tribe for a long time. During a sacred ceremony, a girl slowly approached a pool, surrounded by others. At this moment, her skin and facial muscles began to tremble, and with a scream of pain, a mermaid tail appeared. Not long ago, Maddie noticed Rin's skin glowing, a sign that mature mermaid skin glows during mating season, compelling Rin to return to the sea to mate. After saying goodbye to Ben, Rin and Levi dove into the sea. Elaine had told Rin that their tribe hadn't had a new birth in a long time, and if this continued, their lineage would soon disappear entirely. A few days later, Rin returned to shore, but she wasn't pregnant. Otherwise, her body would have immediately changed. Maddie held the military's seawater test report. All the harmful substances in the water exceeded the allowed standards, originating from plastic waste in the ocean. This was also a major reason why mermaids struggled to conceive. The only solution Ben could think of was using human artificial insemination technology. In the military base, the doctor combined two substances. Very quickly, the cells began to divide, indicating that the artificial insemination was successful. The doctor then placed the embryo in a vial, and suddenly, Rin clutched her stomach and collapsed to the ground. After examining her, the doctor explained that Rin's body was likely reacting to the implantation, which was a normal response. Once in the car, everyone left, relieved. They had feared the military would keep the embryo, so they acted quickly. Ben seized the opportunity to take the embryo. They needed to reach a safe place to implant it into Rin. They soon arrived at a farm outside the city, where many mermaids like Rin were waiting for her to begin the ritual. Unbeknownst to them, a journalist had secretly followed them. He snuck into the room and recorded the entire process of Rin's transformation. Later, he broke into Rin's room, and seeing her weak on the bed, he had a bold idea to kidnap her. While fleeing, he didn't hesitate to crash his car into Ben. In the emergency, Rin quickly took control and drove the car straight into the sea. Rin transformed underwater and escaped the car, but the evil journalist was trapped inside. The kind-hearted Ben jumped into the sea and, seeing Rin was safe, rescued the journalist. Though terrified, the journalist thanked Ben. A few days later, the malicious journalist exposed the existence of mermaids to the media and released the video he had taken. Rin was quickly recognized by the public, leaving Ben no choice but to take them on the run. But this was just the beginning. 2 months later, Bristol, once famous nationwide for the mermaid incident, had become a place that valued mermaids. After the journalist exposed the mermaids, the military quickly locked down the town and sent a large number of soldiers to search for them. Nearly all the mermaids hiding in the town were captured and imprisoned together like criminals. They faced numerous experiments. Ben's group kept running but were blocked at every turn. Exhausted, the three had to rest in an abandoned cabin in the woods. Suddenly, countless black lights appeared in the forest, revealing a group of fully armed soldiers approaching the cabin. Rin spotted 2 familiar faces in the crowd. It was Ben's father and Maddie's father. At that moment, Ben's father entered the cabin and urged them to surrender, but Ben no longer trusted him, knowing he had revealed their location. Ben then took his father hostage and led the 3 of them out of the cabin. Soldiers fired, and a bullet grazed Ben's shoulder, hitting Maddie instead. With that, Ben and Rin were captured. Ben couldn't bear the scene before him, knowing it was all caused by that evil journalist. Suddenly, time rewound. Ben was still underwater, while the journalist sat in the car, desperately screaming for help. This time, Ben didn't save him. He let go and slowly swam to the surface. Can you imagine that the beautiful, elegant flight attendant wasn't human? While the plane was flying at an altitude of 10 meters, she did something unexpected. She followed the captain and sabotaged him, then went to the cockpit to deal with the co-pilot. Setting the plane to dive immediately, she put on a parachute, politely bid farewell to the passengers, and without hesitation, opened the plane door and jumped out. The plane crashed straight into the sea and was instantly submerged. By then, the flight attendant had landed in the water. The moment she touched the seawater, her body transformed. Rin had been living on land for over a year, fully integrating into human society. She used pearls from the sea to buy food and learn how to shop and cook. Life for the 3 of them was peaceful until a war broke out among the mermaid tribes. Later, the flight attendant appeared in Helen's store. The moment Rin saw her, she recognized she was a mermaid too, but from a different tribe. The flight attendant's name was Tia. She was once the leader of another mermaid tribe. During a fight, she was injured by a sea monster, captured by the military, and kept for research for 10 years. While enduring various forms of torture, Tia learned much about human knowledge. One day, Tia overheard that the military had captured another mermaid. She escaped from the lab, and the first thing she did was look for Rin. She took Rin to the beach to denounce humans for reckless exploitation, wasteful resource use, environmental destruction, and pollution of marine ecosystems. The habitat of marine creatures had significantly shrunk. To protect the environment for her family and tribe, Tia wanted to join forces with Rin to rally all mermaid tribes against humans. Rin didn't accept Tia's alliance request, but didn't refuse either. Back home, Ben warned Rin to stay away from the Marine Corps general. He wanted the original treasure of the mermaids, and even exhumed her sister's body to get it. Tia, furious at human cruelty, immediately spoke out against them but was stopped by Ben. In the middle of the night, the naval general arrived alone at the harbor, but Ben was nowhere to be found. Earlier that day, Tia had secretly used Ben's phone to arrange a meeting between the general and the mermaids. Realizing something was amiss, the general prepared to leave the harbor. Suddenly, he heard a strange noise behind him. When he crouched down to investigate, Tia swiftly attacked him. She had been mistreated by humans for 10 years, and they had destroyed the seas where they lived. Now, she directed all her hatred toward this greedy man. The next day, Ben found his phone in Helen's house and saw the messages. Sensing trouble, he rushed to the address mentioned in the text at the harbor, but his worst fears were confirmed. Ben's group was eager to understand Tia's motives. Rin revealed the entire story. Mermaids were an ancient species on Earth, living in oceans worldwide. Each tribe and clan maintained distance from each other. However, in recent years, human environmental destruction, resource plundering, and water pollution had led to wars among the mermaid tribes, reducing their population to just 1/3 of its original size. Tia wanted Rin to join her in uniting the scattered mermaid tribes to launch an attack on humans. Although Rin deeply wished to solve the mermaid's problems, she opposed using violence. She knew that doing so would endanger the mermaids even more, and urged Tia to seek a peaceful solution. However, Tia's heart was filled with hatred for humans. At this moment, Katrina came ashore to find Rin. She recounted how the plane crashed into the sea and how her tribe members saw Tia come ashore, prompting her to follow. When Rin went to get food, Tia tried to recruit Katrina to her cause against humans. Seeing Katrina only feigned loyalty to Rin, she revealed Tia's plan to Rin. Katrina insisted they must stop Tia, or she would rally all mermaid tribes to start a war. Despite Rin's attempts to reason with Tia, Tia refused to listen and warned Rin not to interfere, or she would consider Rin an enemy. The two mermaids, from different tribes, began to fight. It was clear one mermaid was overwhelmed and unable to retaliate effectively. She broke a wooden stick to strike her opponent, and used the opportunity to distance herself. But Tia pursued Rin, who was now injured and unable to continue fighting. At this critical moment, many mermaids from Rin's tribe appeared, surrounding them. Tia knew she couldn't fight off so many people, so she left. Rin had lived among humans for so long that her underwater combat abilities had significantly diminished, and her recovery ability was also weaker than before. But now, Rin had to become stronger because a battle was coming. She asked Elaine to stay and treat everyone. Camden would stay on shore to train with her. Katrina and the others would stay underwater to keep an eye on Tia, as Tia was sure to ally with other mermaid tribes to cause trouble. In the following days, Rin trained non-stop. Before long, her body recovered to its original state, and her combat strength reached its peak. On the other hand, Tia was certainly not idle. Years ago, Tia was injured fighting a sea monster and was abandoned by her tribe members. Now, she had to defeat the chieftain and reclaim leadership. Of course, the old chieftain wouldn't back down, charging straight at Tia with a spear. But Tia played dirty and secretly used a spear that could adjust its length, sending the old chieftain to heaven and becoming the chieftain as she wished. Ben's mother was paralyzed from the waist down in an accident many years ago. After receiving Rin stem cells, she regained feeling in her legs. While practicing rehabilitation, she secretly removed her safety belt, but her legs, unused for years, couldn't fully recover, and she fell into the pool. When Ben pulled her ashore, she had been underwater for over 10 minutes. Surprisingly, she acted completely normal, astonishing both Ben and his father. At the hospital, doctors measured her lung capacity and found it much greater than normal, even higher than professional swimmers. Ben knew this change was due to Rin stem cells. Ben found himself in a difficult situation. He wanted his long paralyzed mother to walk again, but didn't want Rin to be harmed. He tried to prolong his mother's treatment, but Ben's father was worried about potential side effects of mermaid cells on the human body. Unsure if this method was safe, he forbade Ben from injecting more stem cells into his mother. Late at night, Ben went into the forest alone, dug up a corpse, and brought it back to the research center. Once everything was ready, Ben extracted stem cells from the corpse. To prove the safety of mermaid stem cells, he injected them into himself. A woman, holding her newborn child, jumped into the sea. Strangely, she suddenly felt pain all over her body, and she began to change. Not long after, a mermaid appeared, and the baby in her arms also transformed into a mermaid. Rin saw the successful transformation of her child and smiled happily. Not long after, Rin took her child ashore, with Tia and her tribe causing chaos underwater. Rin was worried her baby would be in danger, so she had to bring the child to land. However, Rin was very clumsy as a mother. She placed the baby under the bed, thinking of how mermaids would often keep their young in caves. Helen brought baby supplies over. Rin curiously sniffed the baby bottle. The baby's food was finely ground fresh fish. After grinding it, Rin poured it straight into her mouth and fed the baby mouth to mouth. Maddie taught Rin how to use the bottle. That day, Rin took her baby to a parenting class for mothers. When the host asked the mothers what they hoped for their children, an African-American mother said she hoped her child would always be happy. Another mother hoped her child would be healthy. Rin's answer shocked everyone. To survive, to swim, to hunt. Fortunately, Maddie quickly smoothed things over, preventing any suspicion. At that moment, the African-American mother's child suddenly cried. Rin, surprised, asked why the baby was crying. The mother asked if Rin's baby cried. Rin replied, "If my baby cries, it would be eaten." Maddie, at a loss for how to help Rin, quickly led her away. However, Rin's time with her child was brief. When they returned home, they found Levi and the baby's father waiting. In mermaid culture, the males take the young to teach them how to fight. This was the male's responsibility. Late at night on the beach, Rin named the baby mermaid Hope, placing all her hopes in the child. Finally, Rin handed the baby over to Levi. Meanwhile, Tia had surrounded Rin's tribe underwater. With superior numbers, Tia tried to draw Rin's tribe members to her side. Katrina, who had never fully supported Rin, immediately betrayed her. The next day, Rin woke up suddenly. Tia had purposely left Camden alive to return and inform Rin. If Rin couldn't subdue her, she would be killed. For the safety of her tribe members, Rin had to return to the sea to fight. To join Rin in the underwater battle, Ben injected himself with mermaid stem cells. He took a deep breath and lay in the bathtub. As time passed, Ben didn't feel any discomfort. Rin discovered her tribe members who had died fighting Tia, and she and the others buried them and said their final goodbyes. At that moment, a wounded mermaid surfaced. They swam towards the injured mermaid. Rin found her tribe members in a forest near the beach. Tia had taken over their living area, forcing them into the forest, which wasn't suitable for mermaids. After encouraging them, Rin returned to land to seek help. On the other hand, following a bad reporter incident, Maddie broke up with Ben. She quickly found a new lover. This person was named Rob and was a marine environmental expert. Maddie then brought Rob to the research center's storage to look around. But as soon as they arrived, Rob noticed an extremely foul odor. He discovered the smell was coming from the refrigerator. When they opened it, they were shocked to find the body of a mermaid. Maddie couldn't hide it anymore and had to tell Rob everything. After Rin came ashore, she told Ben about what had happened in the sea. Ben then called Xander to help. The three of them quickly set out to sea. They soon reached Rin's tribe's hiding place. But just as they were about to leave, Katrina caught up with them. Ben explained the battle plan to everyone. Xander, along with the other mermaids, would find a chance to get to the boat, while he, Rin, and the hunter would lead the others away. Quickly, Rin was able to handle one opponent, while Ben faced a tough adversary. In a critical moment, the mermaid stem cells in Ben's body activated. Meanwhile, Rin and the hunter found Katrina. Faced with Rin's questions, Katrina felt no remorse. The three of them quickly started fighting. Despite her hatred for Katrina, Rin didn't want to kill her. She wanted to give Katrina a chance to redeem herself. However, Katrina's extreme nature led her to choose suicide over surrendering to Rin. With that, Rin's group left the island with the survivors. That night, Tia arrived on the island and saw the bodies of mermaids lying on the ground. She was furious. At this moment, the hunter suddenly woke up. Tia threatened the hunter to join her or be killed. Seeing the dead bodies around, the hunter decided to surrender. However, Tia, being smart, didn't easily trust a traitor, and the hunter seemed to understand this. To gain Tia's trust, the hunter revealed Rin's weakness, telling Tia that Rin had a child. The hunter disclosed the child's location and mentioned that Rin's child was with two male mermaids. Rin and Ben returned from the island battle and met Rob, Maddie's new lover. As soon as Rin saw Rob, she sensed something was off. She immediately grabbed him by the throat and pushed him to the ground, realizing he was also a mermaid. He came from a distant sea. Rob didn't hide it anymore. He removed his contact lenses, revealing his all-white eyes. He explained that he was a mermaid from the Nome region in Alaska and had lived on land for over 10 years. Rin knew that mermaids from the northern region were aggressive and loved to fight. She told Rob about Tia's ambitions, but Rob questioned how. Even if Tia united all the mermaid tribes underwater, they could defeat humans, who vastly outnumbered them. At this moment, Maddie remembered the mermaid song. That song could stimulate the human nervous system, making them happy or killing them instantly. When used on a large scale, its destructive power was immense. Once again, Rin requested cooperation with Rob. Thus, Rob took Rin and the others to the coldest region. They quickly arrived at Rob's clan's dwelling. Ben planned to break the ice so Rob could dive into the water and transform into a merman. However, due to the frequent transformations from sea to land, Rob could no longer return to his merman form. Hearing this, Rin, standing beside him, began to worry. Rob brought food to the supply room. After dropping the food into the water, they waited in silence. Soon, three strange women with white eyes emerged, led by the chieftain. As soon as the two leaders met, they demonstrated their power to intimidate each other. Fortunately, they managed to control their emotions. Rob's chieftain immediately rejected Rin's proposal because their clan was also facing extinction. Unlike other clans, Rob's clan members were all born female and had to use the clan's transformation pool to become mermen. But now, their transformation pool had been polluted by humans and could no longer facilitate the transformation. When Maddie investigated, she discovered a large amount of microplastics in the pool. The toxins from this plastic waste were the main reason the mermaids couldn't transform. Rob said he would restore the transformation pool on the condition that the chieftain agreed to help Rin deal with Tia. The chieftain agreed to Rob's condition. As an expert in marine environments, Rob, along with Ben, quickly found a solution. They used vegetable oil to absorb the nylon particles in the water. At the same time, they used magnetite in a mixture of water and vegetable oil to extract the oil, thus treating the pool and reducing pollution. After preparing everything, they poured the materials into the transformation pool. The clan members drew a strange symbol on the chieftain's face. Then she removed her cloak and slowly stepped into the pool. She submerged completely, and soon after, a merman emerged from the pool. The transformed chieftain kept her promise to help Rin. Meanwhile, as two of them were heading home, they suddenly heard a strange mermaid song. Then everyone around clutched their heads in pain and fell to the ground dead. Ben's group realized this was Ty's challenge to humanity. Xander suggested informing the military to get their help, but the general's response surprised them. Not long ago, Tia had sneaked into the base and erased the recording Ben had brought back from the source. They suddenly realized Tia intended to use the internet to broadcast Mermaid's song on a large scale. Her goal was to control human minds or directly annihilate them. Now, without that recording, there is no antidote. The general still didn't grasp the severity of the situation, thinking Ben's team was panicking over baseless rumors. The origin site was the ancestral land passed down by the mermaids for generations. The sounds from this place were the only antidote to the mermaid song. Tia didn't want humans to have this sound, so she destroyed the entire sanctuary. The three of them returned in defeat, and Ben suddenly thought that he could use the previous oil company scam to prevent Tia's attack. Quickly, Ben boarded the oil exploration ship they had destroyed earlier. Rin found the location of the fallen sonar jammer at the bottom of the sea. However, the device was stuck between two rocks, and Rin couldn't pull it out alone. At this moment, Maddie's radar showed a fast approaching creature, likely someone from Tia's clan. Ben realized Rin might be in danger, grabbed a speargun, and jumped into the sea. He saw a shadow approaching. When it got closer, he realized it was a seal fleeing. Ben looked down and saw Rin. He swam to her, and together, they pulled the jammer out of the rocks. Maddie flipped the switch, and the sonar jammer was lifted onto the boat. Maddie suddenly looked at Ben in amazement, shocked that he had been underwater for over half an hour. Just then, Ben started struggling to breathe and saw his hands transforming into fins. His bones seemed to develop something like gills. Fortunately, Ben recovered shortly after. Once on land, Rin wanted to discard all the mermaid stem cells. Ben stopped her, knowing that one day Rin might be like Rob and unable to transform. At that point, Rin would only be able to stay in the sea, and Ben had chosen this path to be with Rin. In waters 20,000 meters deep, a young mermaid learned to hunt with the adults for the first time. They entered the den of a giant electric eel. The eel revealed its sharp-toothed mouth, roaring to threaten the intruders. Before the adults could act, the young mermaid bravely grabbed a spear and charged forward. The child struck the eel's head forcefully, stabbing it several more times and killing it. The two adults realized the young mermaid had matured and brought her to meet Rin, but their actions were spotted by hunters. Meanwhile, Tia, now her new master, was attacking humans with her mermaid song. On the side, everyone was happily attending a party when Xander suddenly received a call from a stranger. Abruptly, strange sounds came from the other end. Xander immediately passed out, bleeding and collapsing on the spot. A CT scan revealed that Xander's brain was healing very quickly. Ben knew very well that the cause was that song. Maddie checked the location of the phone number that called Xander and discovered that they both received calls from the same number at the same time. But only Xander answered the phone. They knew Tia wouldn't give up and that a second attack would happen soon. At this moment, Rin's heart suddenly beat faster. She felt the child had come ashore. When Rin dove into the sea, she found her child had grown. The interaction between mother and child deepened their understanding of each other, and they hugged tightly. Hope's father then spoke of Rin, saying their waters were dominated by Tia, and many in their clan had been killed. Furthermore, Tia destroyed the origin site. Without it, they couldn't save Xander. To ensure Xander's condition didn't worsen, Helen brought Eliza. After Eliza's special treatment, Xander's heart rate gradually stabilized. This time, young Hope visited the human world for the first time and was curious about everything. The child suddenly turned into a mischievous kid, eager to explore and break things. Habitually, she poked a toy with a sharp object and then went looking for more things. Suddenly, Rin realized there was someone else in the room. The hunter slowly emerged. Rin couldn't believe the hunter was still alive. Although the hunter was very interested in young Hope, she showed no affection towards him. When Helen came home and saw young Hope, she was also surprised, amazed at how fast the young mermaid had grown. At this moment, the child was playing with a record player nearby. Unexpectedly, the singing made her excited. Hope's voice was much stronger than Rin's. To ensure safety, they decided to take Hope away from this place. Meanwhile, at the center, Tia burst in, killing staff members as she uploaded the mermaid song to a designated area on the internet and then sent it out. The woman unexpectedly received a call from a stranger, and at the same time, many others received similar calls. Strangely, those who received the calls suddenly bled on the spot. Simultaneously, a mysterious letter was delivered to the media center. The editor opened it to find a USB drive, and its contents terrified everyone. Tia had openly declared war on humans. She accused humans of destroying the ecosystem, saying that an acoustic attack was just the beginning. The town hospital was in chaos, with many injured people being brought in. Helen rushed over, panicked. They had all been deceived by the hunter. The hunter took advantage of Rin's absence to kidnap young Hope and escape. At this point, the military arrived at Rin's place, hoping she could lead them to Tia. Tia looked at young Hope and told her everything. Tia had also been a mother. Years ago, when she was pregnant, she was captured by humans. At that time, her baby was about to be born, but humans exploited her for countless experiments, causing her to miscarry. Moreover, humans engaged in numerous actions that damaged the marine environment. In Tia's heart, her hatred for humanity ran deep, and she wanted to overthrow human rule on Earth. Little Hope seemed brave and was not easily swayed. In the military command center, Tia's hideout had been pinpointed, but searching each location wasted time, making the search increasingly difficult. They needed a faster, more precise way to find Tia. Ben told the general that the mermaid's body temperature stayed around 73 degrees Fahrenheit. By using solar infrared cameras, they could pinpoint Tia's exact location. Soon after, they found her hideout. Rin quickly rushed in, but upon entering, she found the person tied up on the ground was actually the hunter. It was clear Tia had betrayed her. Tia had instructed the hunter to tell Rin that if she wanted to save her daughter, she would have to meet her underwater. Rin knew this was Tia's trap, but for her daughter's safety, she couldn't think twice. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Rob returned with a recording from the origin of his lineage. Miraculously, after Xander listened to it, he was completely cured. Everyone hurried to spread the recording widely, neutralizing the threat of Tia's Siren song. Rin's tribe was now ready for battle. They were determined to fight to the death for their leader, even if it meant dying at sea. Beneath Rin's feet, on the surface of the sea, was Tia's location. She could feel Hope's heartbeat. Rin urged Ben to leave quickly, but Ben refused to let Rin face such a powerful opponent alone. Rin led Ben to Tia's area. She sensed that Hope was right in front of her. Rin used a strategy to lure Tia away, giving Ben the chance to swim in and kill the guards with a spear gun. Ben reached the iron door where Hope was locked inside. They sensed each other's presence. Ben then tore open the iron door with his hands to rescue Hope. Seeing the heavily guarded area outside, he told Hope he would distract the guards, giving her the chance to escape. After successfully luring the guards away, Hope quickly fled the sea. But now Ben was in danger. Two guards were relentlessly chasing him. Meanwhile, Rin's tribe had arrived. Rin saw Tia's vast army swimming towards her and felt a surge of anxiety. Just when Rin was about to despair, a distant signal indicated that Rob, the leader of his tribe, had arrived. He had kept his promise to help her. Following Rin's command, the final battle of the mermaids began. Confronting all of Tia's actions, Rin was filled with rage. This war was essentially a personal battle between her and Tia. Enraged, Rin thrust her spear into Tia's chest. Tia died, and the war finally ended. Rin became the leader of all the mermaids. The sea battle was over, but there was still no news of Ben. Rin dove into the sea and resurfaced countless times, searching for Ben. Later, people often saw someone sitting on a rock, gazing at the sea with hopeful eyes. This is the full story of the movie Siren. Did you enjoy this movie? Comment below to let us know. Thanks for watching.